Welcome to my channel. Today we are coloring a house sketch with alcohol markers. This is the house that we'll be sketching today, and while we are doing the boring part where I ink over the pencil sketch, I'm going to tell you what I'm using today. So for my first light pen, I use the Micron Pen 005. I have this little pack. I also buy a pack of 005s because I go through them so fast. For thicker lines, I use a Micron Pen 03. In this sketch, I'm using Canson watercolor paper, but I don't recommend that with alcohol markers. I actually recommend Bristol paper. But if you don't want to buy a whole pack of Bristol paper, you can go buy some Bristol board from the dollar store, and you can cut it up and use that to test out whether or not you like it before you commit to buying an actual pack. In this video, we'll be using Copic markers. I have all different colors, but this gray pack is the one that I use in almost every sketch. And then I'll also be using pastel alcohol markers. This is what they look like if you are looking for them online. You can also find the links below for everything that I'm using in this video. I will also be using Posca paint pens. They're actually called Posca paint pens. I'll be using the white paint pens you see here, and then I'll also be using a color pack, and this is what those look like. You can get those on Amazon as well. That's where I got mine, and I use those for flowers and things like that. So now I'm just testing some colors to match up with the house. Here's a picture of the house as a reminder. I'll try to keep it in the corner as much as possible if it's not obstructing the frame. So here I'm just going in with my first layer of alcohol marker with the color that I thought matched the best. Here's a light blue Copic marker. I use these markers for the base of my windows, and then I'll go in with more layers after. Here I'm putting in the first layer of my roof line, and I use the lightest color as a sort of highlight underneath. So I'll use at least 3 colors, 2 to 3 colors on most sketches. Now you see some sun peeking in here. That will go away shortly. Going in with my first layer of the green, and you'll see me add little splotches around. That's to sort of emulate the look of a watercolor painting. And then I'm going in with my second layer of windows. This is it's called Lipstick Natural. I'm not sure why I started using this. It might be from the course that I took. You can find the link below. But I really like the look of it, and my clients seem to really like it. So here I'm going in with the darker color of the green. I have it on its side because I usually like the chisel tip look, but this one doesn't have a chisel tip. So I'm just trying to emulate the chisel tip look with by putting it on its side with the brush tip. So I'm going in here with the lightest color again for the grass, and then adding my darker color. And it's still looking really flat. Going in with my second color of for the siding of this house. And you can see it's starting to look pretty good. It's getting there. It really won't start coming together until I put in the shadows, but that's coming, so you'll see that soon. Here I'm using my Copic grays to add some shadow to that doorway and the window in the doorway. Because this door was behind a screen door, I didn't use the same window look because it's not supposed to be shiny. It's supposed to be sort of flat because of that screen. Here I'm starting to add in my first layers of shadows with my Copic grays, and then just sort of adding in some light shadows around. This is not the final look of the shadows. I just am starting to add a little bit of shadow to start bringing it to life. And then going in with my second color for the roof line. I like to let some of that first color peek through a little bit. I like adding 3 layers of color for roofs. It just gives it a more rich look. Here going in with a third color. These are just cheap Amazon alcohol markers. You can find the links below. They have a pretty good combination of brown colors. That's why I use those often. Then going in with my third color of the green. I usually actually only use 3 colors, but in this one I used 4 because my regular greens had run out, so I think I was overcompensating. But here I'm just going in and adding that darker layer, and you can see it acts also as a sort of shadow as well, so it's starting to bring it to life a little bit. Going in with the brown of the dirt, and then this is the fourth layer of the greens. So I'm going in and adding the darkest layer of greens to really darken up those shadows. And it's starting to come together. That front garden's really starting to look good. So now I'm adding some shadows to the front walkway and the plants on the front area there. Just darkening that up, making it look like there's some shading and, you know, the way the light is hitting everything. And here I'm adding some dark shadows with my dark Copic marker to really make that look super dark. And the owner of the home said the husband worked on this garden for a long time. So it's very beautiful. So here I'm adding shadow just on the inside corner of those windows. Really starts to make those windows pop. I really do like adding the shadows, and because this door was a screen door, there was a little bit of a shadow on the inside frame of the door. So that's what I'm doing here, just adding some inside shadow so that you can tell that it's a sort of screen door. So just darkening up those little shadows in the window again with another layer of the grays, the neutral grays that I use for Copics. Here I'm going in and adding a darker gray to that right under the lip of the roof line. And on the top right, you can see that I didn't go far enough over with the roof, and I fixed that later in the video, so stick around for that. Just adding some more shadows. This is quite a process because I'm really going back to my reference photo and making sure that I am looking at that very carefully. So here I'm going in with my Micron Pen 03, and I'm adding just right under where there are shadows, anywhere where I think it needs to be defined a little bit more, I'm going in to darken up that line. Now you don't need to do this, but this is just something that I do, that I learned in the course that I took. It's the links below if you want to see more about that. It's called Expressive Architecture. So I'm just defining those little areas, and I'm trying to make sure that you know, the areas that I really want to show shadow are really sticking out. And again, going in with another layer of shading. I do this over and over and over again all throughout the video. Here I'm going in with a gel pen. I don't usually use gel pens. I actually recommend paint pens. I use Posca, but you can use whatever you like. And here I've listed all of the things that I put highlights on. So trees, roofs, plants, windows. Sometimes I do it in the grass and the walkways, depending. So here is the fun part. I'm actually adding the flowers, and these had very beautiful daisies. And so I'm going to add I added some really fine dots with my white Posca pen, and then I have the fatter colored pens, and the white comes with it. So I have a combination of the two. And after this dries, I'm going to go in and add some little yellow dots to make them look like daisies. But they'll have to be really fine, so you'll see me move my marker or hold my marker sideways so that I get a really, really fine dot. So I'm just adding in, this is my favorite part because this is really where it starts to pop, is adding in the gardens. And this one was so much fun to do because there was so much in the garden. So I really, knowing that the owner of this home put so much work into making this garden beautiful, I wanted to make sure it was a really good representation of the garden. Now I'm moving on to adding a couple of little flare details on the side, and here I'm about to fix that mistake. Yay, finally fixing the mistake. So adding a little paint pen just to bring that white back, and I'll have to let that dry before I really dig into fixing it. So you'll see me come back and fix it a little bit later on as well. I'm adding in that little tiny bit of yellow to the daisies, and I'm holding my Posca pen on its side just to get a really, really fine dot so that I can get it right in the middle of those little white specks. But I'm cleaning up my little lines anywhere where I had alcohol marker bleed into the paper across a line that I just don't like the look of. So I'm doing that. I did that with the gel pen there, and going back into the garden. Here I'm adding some shadows in between these front plants and just adding some little more details to some of the flowers. I don't have an orange Posca pen, so then I'm just signing it with my Micron pen, fixing up my little mistake, and adding some final little details. So here's the final product. I hope you like this video. Follow, like for more, and comment if there's anything you want to see. Okay, bye!